counting down for all of us still running in here.
Dave, after the meeting, can you run over and get the stuff on my chair? Like the documents to be signed. Yeah, just real quick. Yeah,
It's fine.
yeah, that's on. It's all in the chair now. We have the meetings way later.
All rise, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Happy early evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. Before the start of tonight's meeting, the board met in an executive session. We talked about some real estate matters and some personnel issues. So, and anyone have any questions about that? Moving on then to the regular meeting. We also met, we had a budget work session at 3 o'clock today with the members of the Budget Advisory Committee and the board. And our budget for 2020 is well underway. So please, those meetings are open to the public, and our next one is July 16th, I believe. So
September.
September? September 17th. So please feel free to join us. Any visitors or public comment? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we're moving on to the announcements. The next meeting of this board is Tuesday, July 16th, 2019 at 7 p.m. And please get your tissues out. Get your tissues out. I'm sad to say that this is our last meeting in the double wide. The next meeting will be in our new building, right over there. Can't miss it. 7 p.m., July 16th. Everyone's welcome. Doylestown Township Administrative Offices will be closed on Thursday, July 4th for Independence Day. The Thompson Performing Arts Series begins this Wednesday, that's tomorrow, at 7 p.m. with the Fabulous Grease Bands. It's an oldies group, it's wonderful, and then continues on through July 17th, the Jersey Boys. Please feel free to look at Doylestown Park and Rec to see the schedule. We also have discount movie tickets and park tickets. They're now available, and you can call the administrative offices to get a hold of them. Kids Castle is temporarily closed, so we're doing lots of new play equipment for children of all abilities. So stay tuned. Should be open later on this summer. Leaf and Yard Recycling is the third Saturday of every month from 9 a.m. to 11. The drop-off site is the New Britain entrance to Central Park. And go to our website if you need more information. July 19th is Park and Recreation Professional Day. I'm not quite sure what happens on that day, but it's just making the announcement that it exists. July 19th, Park and Recreation Professional Day. And then the Doylestown Township Golf Outing. Everyone is invited to attend. It was rescheduled and is now being held on August 26th. And we have plenty of opportunities for foursomes, so please feel free to contact us August 26th at the Doylestown Country Club. And I believe it's an 8:30 registration and like a 9 o'clock, it's a scramble. So please feel free. Next item on the agenda are the minutes for the June 4th, 2019 meeting. Everyone I know has had an opportunity to review them. Are there any other corrections or changes?
No.
Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second if I'm not first.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
Now, correspondences, we have a resignation from a member of the Pension Advisory Committee. Greg Schuster. Mr. Greg Schuster has to resign because he's got too many schedule conflicts. So is there a motion to accept his resignation?
Regrettably, yes. Greg brought a much different skill set than some of the others, and so it's unfortunate he can't serve anymore, but yes, I make that motion.
Thanks, Ken. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And there's a memo from the EAC regarding our Green Points Initiative, and a thank you that we've done that. Thank you to the EAC for keeping us green, because a lot of this comes from a lot of what we're doing here also comes from the EAC. All right, reports from the solicitor.
Most of what I will talk about will be later in the agenda, Madam Chairperson.
Chief?
Yes, it's kind of a somber thing. But for those of you who are not aware, Chief Steve Hillias from Percy Borough passed away suddenly this past Sunday. He left behind a wife and 2 children. And on behalf of the township and the police department, I would like to publicly pass on our condolences to the entire Hillias family, Percy Borough, and the community of Percy. That's all
Thank
I
you.
have.
Will do. Thanks, Chief. Township Engineer.
Nothing at this time.
Director of Ops.
Yes, you just want to just let you know that change order summary for the municipal complex project is in your packet. If you have any questions, I could answer them now. Okay.
Questions?
No questions.
Okay. Just want to acknowledge that. I need just the order of housekeeping. Mr. Schneider alluded to this last meeting that there was a $0 change order from Penn Builders for a substantial completion date change from May 9th to May 24th. And I just wanted to, asking you to acknowledge that officially so we can sign that document, just as an order of housekeeping, please.
Okay.
That is change order number 10 for $0 for a substantial completion date change.
Okay. Do we need
Need a motion to approve the change order.
Make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I have a change orders for borough construction, change orders number 2 and 3, totaling $2,888.26. Just asking for your approval.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Ken, do you have any comment on this? You
No,
don't?
that's good. Good
All
to
right.
go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
That's it.
All done?
Yes.
We received also the monthly executive report from J.D. Bravo. I'll just note that we received it and thanks Rob again for such a thorough review of our building progress. All right, the next item, training request from Ms. Mason and Mr. Wallace. Is there a motion to approve the training request?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Supervisor, Ms. Herring.
I only have 2 comments at this time. There's been some ongoing discussion that I've been having with the Central Bucks School District School Board, specifically Beth Darcy, regarding school safety. I met with her last week, and we talked about a wide range of topics related to schools and the safety of our schools and our children. Throughout that conversation, we did talk about a lot of different topics. Of course, the first thing that we hear about is gun issues, school shootings. But another thing that came out of that conversation was that the second leading cause of death for kids between the ages of 5 and 24 is suicide. And after hearing that and having researching it more, I took a class on from Bucks County Suicide Prevention Task Force. They do a class called QPR, and it teaches you how to discuss with people who have suicidal thoughts, how to identify them, and how to help them. And I just wanted to say that in that, you can, if you do need to see somebody or talk to somebody, you can text BC Hope. You can text that to 741-741. Or call 1-800-273-8255. And I have little bracelets here in case anybody wants it with the information, and their hashtag is Hold On You Matter.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
The class you went, was that an online course or?
It was a live course. They offer it free to communities, so that might be something that we'd want to consider hosting here when I had a conversation with them, and they are willing to talk to us, and maybe in our new facility.
Lenape Valley Foundation will come out and do a suicide discussion. I have it host town meeting as well.
Cool.
We can get them both here at the same time.
That'd be great.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Ken, you got anything?
The only thing I want to talk about was a discussion we had at the Traffic Advisory Board. And if you remember from our last meeting, Mark had presented some of the latest number of complaints, and we've had quite a few of them for Rogers over the past, even after we did reduce the speed there. But one of the next steps in the process that we should go through is working with the residents and and this is right out of the PennDOT handbook, working with the residents, developing a survey, and collecting feedback from them. So they're going to be organizing and setting that up. Their next meeting in August, they'll be going through the survey, making sure it's up to date. And so we will be reaching out to the residents to hold something after the summer's over to try to get as much participation as we can. So I don't remember the last time we might have done that with traffic and conducting surveys. It's been a while, so it'll be interesting to see how this works out. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Rick?
I just have two public service announcements. Many of us have old flags in our houses that we, don't know what to do with, know what we're supposed to do with them, but don't really do what we really should be doing with them. So, if you go to the American Legion post in, I think it's called Atkinson, on North Street, across from Premier or Fulton Bank. Anyhow, if you go to the American, there's a bin in the back that an Eagle Scout did many years ago, and you just open it up, put the flag in there, and the Scouts come and properly burn them and take care of them. So if you have any old flags and you're going in town, just drop them off there. My second is PICO has a fantastic program for refrigerators and air conditioners, old ones. As long as they're working, it's amazing. I mean, they'll come to your house, they'll take your refrigerator, take it away, and then they'll give you $75. So that keeps a lot of the undesirable stuff off the roads and in the trash. So if you have an old air conditioner that you're not using or an old refrigerator that you no longer use, you go on the PICO online and set up a schedule. They'll call and confirm it, and then they'll come and they'll take it away and give you money. So that's my two public service announcements.
Thank you. And yes?
Nothing from me tonight.
Okay, following up on what Jen just said, and just led me back to when we, in 2014, when we were facing the opioid crisis, that our kids were dying in our communities, and we needed to say something. I think, Jen, I think it's a really good, I don't know if you've considered this, and I hope the board might think about this, and that we provide resources on our sites for where to go if you have questions or you have concerns for your children or a family member. I have on my phone that I keep always, and I got it from the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. There are 6 questions. If you have a concern with a family member or child, it's 6 questions that you can actually ask them. And it helps you and helps them have the discussion about it. And they're just 6 simple questions. In fact, they're 5. And if they answer yes to any one of the first 5, then you ask the 6th question. So it's a very simple system. So I'm happy to support that. We, champion the need for us to be more observant and, relevant to the community in this regard. So let's think about it maybe for the next meeting.
Thank you. Yes.
It's a great
Thanks,
idea.
All right, thank you. Next item, any unfinished business? Hearing none. We have a public hearing? Wait, we don't have any public hearing. Scratch number 6 on the agenda. It's no public hearing. New business, Pebble Ridge Woodward Sewer Project. Matt McHugh left Obermeyer, and he's now with his other company, Claire Harrison. Stephanie and I talked about this. I don't know if you were part of this or not, but I'd like to stay with Matt McHugh at his new location.
He has a lot of experience what we're talking about.
He's very intimate in what we have done with the bond issues and so on, and we're going to need another one, and also with some other aspects of our business dealings there. So I would like that even though he went to another firm, that we keep him on as special counsel. Stephanie verified that it would be at the same expense.
Okay.
All right, is everyone all right?
Yep.
And I'll entertain a motion to that regard. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is the pump station change order number 2. Do we need any conversation on that?
It's pretty straightforward.
There's a change.
There's a change order.
Anyone here to? No.
No, I didn't have them come out. It's
Or anybody have any questions about it?
Yeah.
The only question I had is, they're saying it was $4,900. But is this, the way I interpret it, this was a replacement of the original one, so is there a credit for the old one, and is this the net of it?
I think it's the net of it is $4,900, and they explain that the communator, which is the unit that grinds the sewage pump, so lovely, requires the three-phase electric service and properly operate, and I think it was per pico that the single phase wasn't sufficient, so they had to add this in. So I would, certainly we want it up and running and operating properly, especially from an electrical standpoint and everything. So I think this is, a necessary change and can be incorporated absorbed into the project. So
It looks like this is an addition, and that there won't be a credit.
Yeah. They have to furnish and install it, so.
Well, we need it. Do you want more clarity, Ken? Or do we have time to get more clarity on
I
this?
think we would. I mean, if you want.
So we can
Bill Moore to
table
come
this, get
I
more
mean,
clarity?
I'm okay to prove it, but I
But
would
you
like
can,
to
once
hear
you
it.
approve it, subject to
Yeah.
confirmation about what took place with the original.
Yes, yeah.
All right, you want to make that, are you making that motion?
Yeah.
Did you get that motion?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. There's a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is the Brooks Tract final development.
The applicant proposes to subdivide tax parcels 922-79, 922-79-1, and 922-79-2 into 5 lots. Lot number 1 will contain the existing dwelling and a garage. The remaining 4 lots will be improved with new single-family dwellings. The plans before you were prepared by Gilmore Associates, were dated February 28, 2019, and were last revised April 29, 2019. Your Planning Commission, at its meeting on May 28, 2019, recommended approval of the application subject to conditions. Obviously, I've reviewed all the reports and have generated those conditions, but the board may want to see what the plan looks like, because I don't know that all of you have, who don't attend the Planning Commission, but there it is. And that's Mr. Blackburn, who represents the applicant.
Good evening. Joe Blackburn from Whistler Pearlstein here on behalf of the applicant, Cherry Lane LLC, with respect to its application concerning the 3 parcels of land located between Cherry Lane and Penview Drive in the township. The subject parcels in the aggregate consist of approximately 12 acres, are located in the R1 residential zoning district, and are probably most commonly known throughout the township as the former site of the Brooks Rare Species Nursery. Applicant, as a part of tonight's application, as your solicitor just alluded to, is proposing to subdivide those parcels, or rather re-subdivide them, to create 5 lots, one of which would be used to maintain the existing single-family dwelling on the property, and lots 2, 3, 4, and 5 would each be improved with an additional single-family dwelling unit. Lots 2 and 3, and why don't you play Van and White for me? Ron Monkers from Gilmore Engineers, Gilmore and Associate, the project engineer. Lots 2 and 3 would take access from Cherry Lane via a shared-use access driveway, and lots 4 and 5 would take direct access to Pineview Drive. The application that's before you this evening was initially submitted in late February, early March of this year, received a preliminary round of reviews from the various township professionals. Those reviews served as the basis for a conversation before the Township Planning Commission at its March 25th meeting. As a result of that meeting, the applicant received a number of comments and feedback from not only the Planning Commission but also some neighboring property owners, which we took the opportunity to address both with the property owners and via plan revisions. We revised and resubmitted those plans, received an additional round of reviews from the various township professionals, and reappeared before the Planning Commissioner, as Mr. Garten alluded to, at the May 25th, I believe, meeting of that commission, at which time the Planning Commission did unanimously recommend both the grant of preliminary as final approval, as well as the grant of some waivers that we'll address briefly in a moment. All that is to say that although this is the first time that the plan has been before this board, it has received substantial review, revision, and comment from the various township professionals and the Planning Commission, as well as the neighbors. The plan as proposed presently incorporates three principal substantive revisions that were made as a result of those multiple rounds of review, which I'll just identify, or rather Vanna here will identify for the board. The first of which is the incorporation of a pedestrian/bike trail along Cherry Lane. The initial proposal sought a waiver so as to not install that improvement. The Planning Commission felt that, notwithstanding the fact that it would be somewhat segmented and for the time being a trail to and from nowhere, that the trail was in fact coming and that these pieces should be installed now. So we've revised to incorporate those portions of the trail at this time, with the expectation that they'll be integrated into the trail once a trail is ultimately installed. The second substantive revision is the installation of what's been referred to as a refuge walk. It's effectively just a sidewalk along the Pineview Drive bend in the property. That was incorporated as a result of some of the comments we received from the neighbors. The neighbors identified for us that is a heavily foot trafficked area. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic along that bend, and that there is a ripe opportunity for conflict, I'll say, between pedestrians and cars given the curvature of the road there. So we installed what was cleverly identified or classified as a refuge area, which is, as I said, nothing more than a sidewalk along that Pineview Drive frontage. The third revision that was made as a result of our first appearance before the Planning Commission was a further evaluation of the feasibility of extending public water to lots 1, 2, and 3. The plan originally, as submitted, did not include that. As presently proposed, would include the connection of public water for those 3 lots. I would note that each lot is proposed to be serviced by on-lot septic. And that's really kind of the gist of the plan. I would note that the intent and desire is to preserve as many what I'll call specimen trees and specimen exhibits on the property as possible. That was another point of ongoing conversation with the neighbors. They wanted to identify which trees would stay, which trees would be going. So we've had a lot of conversation with the neighbors, which Ron can elaborate on if you'd like. The other ongoing dialogue we've had with the neighbors is the delineation of the bamboo, both on the property and spilling off of the property. The revisions have not only identified those pockets, but also identified the remediative measures that are proposed to be taken to eradicate that bamboo, both on the property and off the property. So there's been ongoing dialogue with the neighbors on those issues, which again Ron can maybe speak to better, but I think it's fair to characterize that, or to say that we've been responsive in all those concerns and addressed them to the best of our capability. There are a number of waivers from the subdivision and land development ordinance that are required, or rather being requested, in order to accommodate the development as proposed. I would classify them into 2 broad categories, the first of which are simple drafting waivers, which are from technical provisions of the ordinance relative to off-site features that need to be shown, scale, things of that nature, purely drafting. The second of which deal with the classification of the shared access driveway for lots 2 and 3. As the name indicates, that is proposed to be a private drive, not a township road, and accordingly we would seek a number of waivers so as to not build that private drive to public road specifications, i.e. width, curbing, sidewalks, street trees, things that you'd expect to see along a public road as opposed to a driveway. There are some other more hyper-technical waivers relative to calculations, which, if you'd like, I will gladly let Ron explain, because they're probably better done by him. But otherwise, I would make myself or Mr. Moncris available for any questions that the board may have.
My only, and I asked Ms. Mason here, that road that's not going to be made to specifications by the township, your residents, when they move in, are going to know that it's their road and we're not going to be down there plowing it.
Correct, yeah, that would be, I would presume, and I think that there is a proposed condition that a shared access and maintenance agreement would be executed and recorded for that, which would make it of record, and you know, clearly identify that fact, yeah.
That's good, because inevitably they'll be calling us to come plow their roads, and we're not going to do that because we can't.
Understood, and that's not the intention. It is, for all intents and purposes, going to be a driveway, and I think, frankly, you know, making it not to township specifications will emphasize that fact more than anything.
Okay.
As far as lots 4 and 5, why are they not going to be on public water?
We evaluated that repeatedly, and I'll defer to Ron as to why specifically that is, and maybe step to the podium just for those at home.
Yes, so we evaluated a couple of concepts. The first, raised in conjunction with DTMA, was to extend a main off of the main we currently show.
Ron, you're going to have to give him the mic. Sorry.
Sorry.
For us, it's for the building.
Very good. Okay, so we've been working, we've been having a number of dialogues with Fred Ciatoni, the engineer, alongside of Keith Haas of DTMA. And their concept was to extend a water main off the water main we currently propose along the shared drive to the new lots 2 and 3. And their idea was to extend it along the northerly site boundary line. I'll point to it here. And then come down in between new lots 4 and 5. But after further review and discussion with their office, we've noticed a number of conflicts, mainly dealing with, water quality, the inability to sufficiently flush that long. It was about a quarter of a mile stretch from Cherry Lane all the way down to where they had initially envisioned that terminating. So just last week, they came around on an agreement to concede that was not the best idea given that case, and also we've got some retaining walls. We can't put the retaining walls or the water main within 10 feet of each other. It just wouldn't work out. And so, they proposed an alternate solution that came back to us just earlier this week with a plan to provide private extensions to all the lots, 1, 2, and 3, directly from Cherry Lane, as well as an idea to possibly directionally drill private services from Cherry Lane down that stem, which you can see in the dark green. That's all Woodlands area there. And then those 2 separate services would then wind away around the back of new lot 4 right here, and then serve both of those lots. And we've had some preliminary discussion with one of the directional drillers. While we've used them on a number of projects that include water and sewer main installations under a creek or a riverbed, they're less comfortable or reassuring with doing that in a wooded lot, especially for 400 feet. So the viability of that option it's still being evaluated, but it's not looking really that great, because when you do directional drilling or directional coring, whichever you want to call it, you need what's called a launching pit and a receiving pit. They basically dig these giant holes in the ground so you can get the equipment down there and drill a hole through them from one to the other. And so the launching pit would have to be in the woods, and we'd have to clear out a good 400 to 500 square feet of the woods up by the street. And, while we're having this discussion with DTMA, we're also having, just this morning, I had, calls with the neighbors as well, follow-up calls, concerns about the trees in and along the property lines. So trying to appease them, saying, hey, our plan is to not disturb those and maintain your current existing buffers, which are substantial. So long story short, I don't know that viability of the directional drilling through the woods is a realistic option at this point. But, we're still working with DTMA personnel on that possibility.
Okay,
And Ken, to answer your question, Ron wrote a cogent, well-written letter that explained in detail why we couldn't get that water to 4 and 5. Very well written. We appreciate it. Also, you would had to go to DEP and about the septic because that would have had to been moved, which is another whole. The other, the reason DTMA is so fanatical about 2 houses getting water, it's, our water quality in the township is deteriorating, as it is in many other townships. So they were willing to spend money and time and effort, and yours too, just for 2 houses to try to get it to work. And I just got an article, Penn Environment, a recent study showed that Pennsylvania is the #1 state in the nation in elevated levels of lead, so in the drinking water. So that's what we're trying to accomplish, and that's why we ran you through the ringer, and really appreciate it, month after month after month, just for 2 houses. But that's the reason why we had you continue to look.
Well, it's good to know there was a reason, so I really appreciate that.
Well, Rick, can I ask for some clarification on that? The leading lead, state for lead, isn't that in the schools? Isn't that what the study found? It was specific to schools?
Yes.
Yes,
There was,
okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Penridge, John Grass Elementary School.
Right, and that's serviced by public water.
I'm
right?
sorry?
That's serviced by public water, the Penridge school system? I just wanted to clarify, because I read that.
I don't know. It just says the report showed that Pennsylvania is the #1 state in the nation in elevated levels of lead in drinking water. I don't know if it's public.
Right.
Well, it wouldn't be public.
It could be public, because you have old systems in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia that
Right.
have lead pipes, and a lot of old houses have lead
Right.
pipes.
Okay, now I
I just
don't.
wanted to clarify.
No, I
because-
don't know if it's public or well.
Okay.
But we have new systems in Doylestown Township, I mean, the DTMA.
We do not have lead pipes, and we
Not
use that.
lead.
Right.
So we know we're not going to have lead from the
No,
water we supply.
I just wanted Joe to know we weren't doing it just for fun,
I think you got that.
even for 2 houses.
Well, it was, the comments were taken, and we evaluated them in earnest, so.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you. The shared drive, it looks like it's for 1 car, like a 1-car width. Is there a place that somebody can pull to the side to get, just out of curiosity?
That was another revision that was made as a result of the first round, first appearance before the Planning Commission. There will be a pull-off, and I don't know, Ron, if you can maybe identify on the plan where that would be.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I thought of that after the fact myself. After we submitted, it was too late.
Gotcha.
No, but we are going to put one of those in, certainly.
Okay.
That was a comment in one of the review letters that I should have noted at the outset, all of which will comply. So it was a comment raised by your professionals. We have identified that as something we would comply with, and it would be in the form of a pull-off approximately midway down the driveway.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also wanted to show my appreciation for your working with the neighbors on identifying those extraordinary trees on the property. It's not something you come across very often, and I know the former owner of that property is legendary in that in that nursery business.
Yeah. Well, candidly, we'd be foolish to take them down. I mean, I think they're a great asset to the units. So.
Any other questions?
If the board was inclined
I have one
to
clarification.
kind of snatch defeat in the jaws of victory,
I shouldn't, but there is one additional waiver that was not reflected perhaps in
The correspondence?
The correspondence that was nevertheless recommended for approval by the Planning Commission, and that would be from Section 153-29A1. It was raised at the last Planning Commission. The section deals with not creating, quote, unnecessarily deep lots in relation to width. We didn't classify these lots as unnecessarily deep. It's a completely subjective standard, which the Planning Commission, just as a precaution, said, why don't you ask for it just in case? So that did not make it into Mr. Garden's letter, but
okay,
would be
I
something
just added it just now.
Great.
Are you now ready?
Yes.
Are you ready for sure? All right, good.
Engineer from that. That was something our township engineer identified.
What's that?
That was something our new township engineer identified.
part of the
in his
ordinance.
review. Not part of,
Okay.
yeah.
The board was inclined to approve the application as a preliminary as final. The following conditions will be applicable. Compliance with Boucher and James, Inc. Planning Review Letter dated May 22, 2019. Compliance with the Boucher and James Engineering Review Letter dated May 23, 2019. Board of Supervisors to grant the waivers as noted in the Boucher and James Inc. Engineering Review Letter dated May 23, 2019, beginning on page 2, consisting of 12 waivers, as well as the waiver Mr. Blackburn just mentioned. And as to waivers 4, 6, and 7, the applicant shall contribute the value of the waiver with the exact amount to be determined between now and the execution of the developed financial security agreements. Compliance with the Michael Baker International Letter dated May 9, 2019. Compliance with the Bucks County Planning Commission Review Letter to the extent not resolved. 6, compliance with the SC Engineers Review Letter dated May 27, 2019, with the understanding lots 1, 2, and 3 will be connected to public water, and if it can be worked out mutually as to lots 4 and 5, that can be changed without coming back to the Board of Supervisors to provide public water to 4 and 5. Applicant shall work with the neighbors and township regarding removal of the existing bamboo, and notes shall be added to the plan describing how the bamboo will be removed. A copy of the notes attached to my script, and it's just so that the board knows it's rather complete, just to show you the criteria on removing the bamboo, so that it's not just remove bamboo, so it's rather substantial.
It's like 6 inches of substantial on that page there. Scrivener of the minutes.
Applicant shall pay a fee in lieu of recreation in accordance with the township ordinance. Applicant shall make an off-site contribution of $1,000 for each new dwelling unit, which shall be paid as of the execution and funding of development security agreements. If an HOA is established, documents related thereto shall be reviewed and approved by the township solicitor. Receipt of all permits and approvals from any agencies having jurisdiction, including Bucks County Conservation District, DEP, the Board of Health, and the like. Funding and execution of development financial security agreements. Applicant shall execute a stormwater management agreement in a form satisfactory to the township manager. Plan shall be ADA compliant. And lastly, that a shared driveway and maintenance agreement shall be reviewed and approved by the township to apply the 2-lot sharing driveway, which shall be recorded of record. Mr. Blackburn, do you agree to those conditions?
We do.
All right, the board will entertain a motion to approve the application for preliminary and final subdivision of the Brooks Tract.
I make a motion, we approve the Brooks Tract preliminary final plan.
I'll second.
Any other question or discussion? Anything from the audience? Hearing nothing, calling the question, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the authorization to advertise proposed ordinance amendment allowing C-17 use in a C-3 zoning district from the Tabor property. Mr. Carr?
That's the best opening I've seen in a while.
It would have been better if I fell flat on my face. We have submitted plans which have been reviewed by the Planning Commission and staff for construction of a project that would involve a mix of offices, a daycare, and most significantly the C-17 assisted independent living and memory care, 150-bed facility on the old Tabor property. In order to accomplish that end, we would need a change of zoning to allow that use in the district in which that property is located, C3. And we needed a couple other details addressed. The ordinance contains a provision limiting a mix of use when it comes to the independent versus the assisted living elements of the facility to 10% of the units being within independent living, tied into state agency definition of independent and assisted living uses that does not actually exist. And so for the purposes of this, we would eliminate that mix. We would like the flexibility to start with maybe approximately a third of memory care, a third of assisted, and a third of independent, but it could shift depending on whether the population stays throughout their lives. So it's very, very straightforward, and it was reviewed, the proposed zoning ordinance amendment was reviewed by your Planning Commission and by the Bucks County Planning Commission. Your Planning Commission took the comments of Bucks County and your professionals into account, and recommended the advertisement of the ordinance as submitted.
Any
I
questions?
have a plan of our proposal if you need to see it, and I can attempt to answer any questions you might have.
I will. Any questions?
I have a question. It looks like you were looking to have a waiver when it comes to the open space requirement. Is that correct?
Our proposal is that there be no open space requirement applied to this use in this district.
Okay.
It is a requirement applicable to the C2 district, I believe, generally, and not specifically this use. But I think what you're trying to accomplish with that open space requirement is to predict the outcome of a proposal in the other district that results in, I would call it something like a campus-like setting. There are 3 properties on which this use could potentially be developed in this district. One is the Chandor tract immediately across the street from the Tabor tract. The other is the Tabor tract, and the third is the farm. Those are campus-like properties right now. And if you wanted to look at our plans, there's a significant amount of open space preserved. There's a significant amount of substantially important woodlands preserved, and there's a great deal of reforestation. So from the plans, it's apparent that the end that I believe the township was probably trying to accomplish with that open space requirement is being achieved without the specific requirement being imposed.
So you believe there's 40%?
It's probably 40%, but in order to calculate it, you'd have to net out buffers and certain other features on the plan. There's a great deal of green space on this plan. I haven't done the calcs, but were we to apply a 40% open space requirement in accordance with your open space regulations, we would not be able to do this project.
Okay.
That was a very good question. It came up at the Planning Commission meeting, and Mr. Carr answered it basically the same way, that to do an additional 40% there would be no project because there wouldn't be enough. But there's the woods and not a nature section that's going to be there. So I don't know the percentages either, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is 40% or more.
Yeah, speaking from a non-engineering standpoint, I suspect it's probably greater than that. I mean, when you take out the building area and the parking and other impervious from the net site area, it's probably not close to 40% impervious.
Okay. Other questions?
Thank you.
I make a motion, we authorize the advertisement, excuse me, of the proposed ordinance amendment allowing C17 use in C3 zoning district.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Calling the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm recusing. I have a family interest in this parcel, so I am not going to be voting. I'm on these. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Please watch yourself leaving, Mr. Carr.
Yeah, leave the chairs here. All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the zoning hearing board application of the Pelletiers and Yanessas on 117 Pebblewoods Drive, requesting a variance. Ms. Zoning Person, what do you suggest we do with this?
They're building a 2-car garage addition, which they're proposing 9 feet setback. I would recommend that our zoning hearing board is quite capable of addressing this issue very easily.
Okay, we'll leave it to the zoning hearing board then. Anything else on that? No. Treasurer's report from June 18th, 2019. Everyone had a chance to review it. Is there a motion to approve it?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
And the bills list for June 18th, 2019.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, dispensing with most of the announcements, except our next meeting is going to be in the new building, all right, July 16th at 7 p.m. And we're closed on July 4th. And the Performing Arts Series kicks off tomorrow, Wednesday, 7 p.m. at the C&N Bank Amphitheater. The C&N Bank Amphitheater is a successor to Monument Bank. The Monument Bank has been our guy on the, you know what I mean, it's like generic guy, our name on the amphitheater, and it's now going to be C&N Bank Amphitheater, still the same company, but better, I'm told. That's pretty much it. Everyone have a good night.
Very good.